in session number 4, which is about the statistical analysis of the results that we obtained with the ecological niche modeling workflow run on the EGI servers. So we are starting here with inspecting the results of our ecological niche modeling workflow. As you've seen in the previous sessions, that these are the results of the experiment. It gives us a probability of distribution and habitat suitability of our species under different climatic scenarios. So this would be for present, and this would be for future habitat suitability on a map. Okay, so now this is only for visual inspection, but the real statistical calculations is a part of a separate workflow, which I will show it to you now. So this workflow is, we find it here under ecological niche modeling workflows. We can look workflows, ecological niche modeling workflows, and here we are not running this one to actually create the projections. We are running this one, which is the ESW, ecological niche modeling statistical analysis workflow. So if we're starting this one, we have again a description of what the workflow does with a link to the source information, and we are running a simple workflow now, and as input files we need the output of the ecological niche modeling workflows. Basically what we need is the raster files that were created and are visible here. So these are 2 raster files. We just go and get them from this is the result of the test run. So we're going to the projection URL, we're jumping to the projection URL, and here are those the 2 raster files produced by the workflow, and these are the ones we're pasting in here. One for present and one for 2050. And then we can add more information about what the name of the species, the file name, and what is the comparison about. Is it 2050 minus 2100, or is it 2050 minus present? So this workflow calculates the statistically the difference between 2 projections, and we have to define here what these projections are. So we can say 2050 minus present, something like that. We call the species stats and morph species. We can specify that even more. We can upload also the distribution data that were used to create the model, and as you remember from session 2, we chose this species distribution file. So these distribution data can be plotted, can be overlaid together with the analysis. So here this as defined, it's added, and then we define the resolution of the output pictures that we want. 1200 is usually very well. So let's start the workflow, and there's no more interaction necessary for this workflow. All the necessary information for the calculations is provided with the input here. So this one will only come back to us when it's finished with the calculation. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes. We can wait until it has calculated it. But we can also look at a run that I just did 5-10 minutes ago, and which was the very same run. It was an statistical workflow with these input files, and we can look at the results. So this is what you get back after about 5 minutes. You have the projection, So this is not the projection of the habitat suitability, it's the projection of the difference in the habitat suitability, which means everything that is green and blue is where the habitat will disappear for this species, and everything that turns orange to red is where the suitable habitat is increasing for the species. So you can very clearly see the trend that apart from these Mediterranean habitats here, the Central European habitat is getting less suitable for this species, and the Scandinavian shield is becoming more suitable for this species. So all these data are visible also here on these maps. You have one layer. What's it? You have one layer with the current prediction. You have one layer with the actual difference. You see the very same thing. These are the Alps. The habitat is increasingly getting better in the next 40 years, while in the rest of Central Europe it's becoming less likely that the species can survive there. And here you have the prediction layer for 2050. There's a lot of numerical statistical outputs, which I will not go into, but they can be all analyzed further to describe the changes that have been projected as the output of the workflow. Okay, so this is the end of session 4.